Thank you very much for joining Empire Diaries. Very recently, a report has come out by British Medical Journal कि ultra processed food, the big food companies who produce this ultra processed food, they add additives to these foods, this packaged food. Are you surprised because you have started this organization NAPI? Are you surprised with this report?
No, I'm not surprised. We have been watching this for many, many years. The moment you eat more sugary products, they are addictive, right? So one is that the high sugar, high fats, they are linked to your brain acting in that manner that there is a possibility that you will tend to overeat with the reaction which comes from the brain. US, there was a very effective randomized controlled trial study which proved the point that the more you eat ultra processed food, it makes you eat more,
Yeah.
right? So they did not diagnose it as addiction, but they found that within 14 days, an adult person gained about 900 grams in 14 days, and average everyday calorie intake increased by 500 calories. So the moment you add on ultra processed foods in your diet, the increase in intake of sugar and salt and fats goes up, protein and fibers they go down. So that's a health hazard, right? The moment these things go up. So the addiction angle is new, documented in the British Medical Journal now, and that is something very important that you know,
But this is very
14% adults were found to be having addiction to almost 12% of the children. It is certainly worrying. When they formulate these foods, they destroy the basic nature of the food.
Can you really call it food at all?
No, you can't call it food. This is an industrial food product at the most, you can say. Whether technically speaking, what is the nearest terminology? I would say it's a ultra processed food product when it is formulated in the industry. At the same time, I would say all processing is not bad,
Yeah.
right? It's not the processing, it's ultra processing when it goes to the industry for production, where matrix is destroyed and these things are mixed up in the industry, then the flavors are added, these
Texture.
salt and other things and sugars, everything goes in and they are added according to the percentage decided by the engineers.
Yeah.
Right? They decide, what should be the level of sugar. So these are foods which are engineered by sociologists and other, engineers which design because that makes you eat more.
This is very alarming and very concerning. What is stopping the authorities or the government to punish these kind of foods or ban these kind of foods?
No, I think the government has not been approached for banning these foods, but government has been approached for putting warning on these foods that these can be harmful, which is the least the government can do, in my opinion. What is allowing the government not to do it is the issue which we have raised quite frequently, that when you work with the food industry, that is a issue where, in principle, it's an issue of conflict of interest. Secondly, the food industry dominates decision making. We have seen with our own eyes how food industry in one food policy making for the front of pack labeling, for example. The stakeholder meetings, which were 6 or 7 meetings happened in Food Safety Authority, 80% was industry. So how do you actually, I don't expect that something good will come out in public interest there when 80% people sitting in that room were from food industry. And you name any food industry was there. Is it multinational or national? So the government is under pressure from the food industry and its associations like CII or SOCAM or whatever. All those people represent in the stakeholder meeting and they push the government not to take such actions. This policy has been there for like in the draft stage for almost a decade. Why can't the government do it? That's what surprises. There is no way to calculate any other benefit if you damage the health of your own people, which applies to the people who own industry, the workers who are part of that industry. They have families too. So I have not yet understood why this thing is continuing. When you can create uh, foods which are less processed, processing is not bad, as I said. You know, you can have little. You always do it at our home. We make atta from wheat, then we make chapati. It is processing. You make curd at home by from your own milk. That's processing, right? You can freeze your things in your freezer, take it out after a month. That is processing.
What are the foods that we call ultra processed food? I mean, at the ultra processed level, what kind of foods or what kind of packaging or what kind of materials or ingredients?
They are almost always in a plastic wrap.
Yeah.
That is packaging, which is itself harmful. They give rise to phthalates in your body, which is disturbing and causes inflammation inside the body. Then coming to the simple formula is if the food packet contains more than 5 ingredients, that is ultra processed. That cannot be
Five
make
ingredients means five
number.
artificial ingredients?
Yeah, any ingredients if they are more than 5. You look at the ingredient list. So there are two things to look into the ingredient list. One is the number. If the number is more than 5, it is almost certain that it is a ultra processed food. It cannot be cooked in your kitchen, right? Number two, if one of the ingredient you can't pronounce well and you don't find it in your kitchen, there are like emulsifiers or other stabilizers and some E20 or E30 or people don't know those, and there are very difficult names for those products which are not there in our kitchens. So if there is one of that which is not used in your kitchen for daily cooking, it means it is ultra processed. Then addition of colors and flavors is another indicator. So the best, simplest is if it is more than 5 ingredients, it is ultra processed. Second part of the ingredient list is very important. Like some people know about sugars, for example. So one has to see what is the first ingredient, what is the second, what is the third ingredient. They have to be by weight. The maximum weight has to be written first by law, and then the second and the third. So if the ingredient list you see, the first 3 ingredients contain sugar, for example, that means it's in a very high quantity, even if you don't go by any percentage. So that can give you an idea. Otherwise, if you can go back to the label and see if the sugar is more than 10%, it is harmful. If the fats are more than 10%, it is harmful. If the sodium content is more than 1 milligram per kilocalorie of the food product, it is harmful. For example, a product contains 400 calories. If the sodium is more than 400 milligram, it is harmful to the body. The products which are being manufactured, they are ultra processed, they should be subject to marketing restrictions, which includes ban on advertisement, putting a warning label, and subject to higher taxes or cess on them, some kind of cess, which is used for health promotion. Yeah.
So WHO has these guidelines,
Yes.
and we have FASI in India.
Yeah.
So WHO is there, FASI guideline is there. Still, we have seen this much growth of this artificial or ultra processed food industry.
This is a
Despite
fact.
those guidelines.
This is a fact that there are several regulations in the Food Safety Authority which do touch upon advertising, labeling, and several others, including school food regulation. There is a guideline by the Consumer Protection Authority. There are other like self-regulatory bodies like us, ASCAI, the Advertising and Standard Council of India. Now, why they don't work? But they are actually not effective. They are not effective by the content. We have analyzed all of them in this report. This is junk push report. We did analysis of all these policies available in the country. They are not able to restrict an advertisement at all. They are not able to. There is no way legally an advertisement of a food product can be stopped by these guidelines. And when you talk of ASCAI, the self-regulatory body, I think many years back, this ASCAI was set up as a part of a self-regulatory regime, right? So it's an industry body basically. So government liked it, government is funding them also. So they do monitor, they find so many advertisements, but they don't ever come. They have no power to actually do anything. And the Food Safety Authority or the Consumer Protection Authority, we have filed several complaints because the law, they say they sent a letter to us saying this is not covered under the law. So we made a complaint that is it not misleading? It's high sugar and they are advertising like healthy. They say no, it's not covered. I said then why the advertisement is made? So we asked for that to FSSAI and the Consumer Protection Authority that a product which is more than 10% of sugar should be restricted for advertisement, or the advertisement should at least tell
we have
कि
10%
दिस मच शुगर. हम कुछ नहीं कह रहे हाई है या लो है, हम कहे कम से कम शुगर का अमाउंट बता दीजिए कि इतना शुगर है, 30% है, 10% है, 5 है. लोग अपने आप डिसाइड करें ना क्या खाना है हमको. तो वो भी नहीं कहते एडवर्टाइजमेंट.
you are talking about leveling.
हाँ,
Right.
labeling as well as advertisement, both. It can't stop. There is no concrete proposal for labeling, as it's still in draft shape. So there is nothing of that sort. Now, what is the reason behind it? The next between the industry and the government people or politics or that whole thing, political uh, patronage or whatever is leading to all these, and given the examples that how industry funded bodies are put up
Actually regulating.
like All India Food Processors Association, and they will contradict what the scientists say, right? So they divide the public opinion. So these are the strategies used by the industry, other than the direct pressure on the political. Might be funding, we have no idea, but they do run like school programs like Nestle and Pepsi and others. They do run school program. Nestle was, the Coca-Cola was in uh, partnership with like NDTV, for example. It sets an impression that they are good people, right? So similarly, uh, you know, the program run by the government or the prime minister are being helped by these companies saying हम ये कर रहे हैं, हम अच्छा कर रहे हैं, हम एजुकेट कर रहे हैं बच्चों को. तो वो एक आध जगह करके वो कर देते हैं, उसको वो पब्लिसिटी मिलता है. तो वो एक जो एंगल है, जो वो आई थिंक अंदर से ये शो करता है. हमें तो ये लगता है कि वो एक इस तरह का पार्टनरशिप है गवर्नमेंट और फूड इंडस्ट्री का, जो जब तक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का गाइडलाइन नहीं होगा तब तक वो रहेगा. तो हमें लगता है कि फूड पॉलिसी कोई भी वो इंडस्ट्री के साथ बैठ के नहीं बननी चाहिए. इजराइल ने ऐसा एग्जाम्पल दिया. अब इंडिया इजराइल का दोस्त है तो वो कॉपी कर सकते हैं उनको. इजराइल ने ऐसा बॉडी बनाई, उसमें कोई इंडस्ट्री नहीं. उस बॉडी को ये बोला कि आपने बात करनी कर लो उनसे, पर उनको क्राइटेरिया जब डेवलप होना उस टेबल पे नहीं बिठाना. ये डॉक्यूमेंटेड है पेपर कि उनका क्या प्रोसेस रहा. तो उन्होंने डिफाइन किया कि व्हाट इज हेल्दी फूड. हेल्दी फूड का क्राइटेरिया बनाना था, उसमें उनको नहीं बिठाया गया. बट उन्होंने उनसे बात करी, उनके जो कंसर्न थे नोट किए, बट द कमेटी वाज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ इंडस्ट्री. सो इसी तरह हम एडवाइज करते हैं गवर्नमेंट को कि जो भी आपने पॉलिसी बनानी है, पहली बात तो बनाइए जल्दी, चाहे वो लेबलिंग की है चाहे एडवर्टाइजमेंट की. दूसरी बात, जब आप बना रहे हैं उस समय आप इंडस्ट्री के बंदे से जो भी आपने बात करी है सेपरेट, उस पॉलिसी बनाने का हिस्सा नहीं होना चाहिए।
आप जो बात कर रहे थे कि फर्स्ट एक लेवलिंग की बात की आपने, सेकंड यू टॉक्ड अबाउट लीगल पॉइंट, फर्स्ट आई विल कम टू लेवलिंग।
हाँ,
सो लेवलिंग अगर इंडिया में करें अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड फूड in India, public are not that aware when they are when they go to buy something.
right.
They do not actually check the package or check the whatever is written there. So, do you think that only leveling will solve the problem?
No, if at
This is
all,
one part you are talking
yeah.
about.
So labeling will not solve the whole problem. I think the control on and restriction or ban on advertisement is critical to reduce the consumption, which is rising very fast, as you rightly said. Now, their labeling is of two types. One is the front of the pack label, other is back label. In back labeling, rules exist and they are there. Like छोटा है चाहे, but rule है कि gradient list में जैसे लिखना है कि highest weight will be written first, which is a good thing. अगर आप टाइम हो तो आप देख सकते हैं. बैक लेबलिंग पे आपको पर 100 ग्राम न्यूट्रिशन इंफॉर्मेशन देना है कि कितना चीनी कितना वो है, उसी को ट्रांसलेट करके आपने अब फ्रंट ऑफ पैक पे लिखना है जो हम डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि अगर चीनी ज्यादा है पिछले वाले लेवल में तो बाहर लिख दीजिए चीनी ज्यादा है, फिर भी उसकी मर्जी है, लोग खाते हैं ना. अब कई लोग बोलते हैं कि लेबलिंग से कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. फायदा होता है, थोड़ा बहुत जितना भी होता है. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि 100% फायदा होगा, जितना भी होगा होगा, बट दिस इज नॉट ए स्टैंड लोन के एक ही पॉलिसी से फायदा हो. एडवर्टाइजमेंट को रोकना, टैक्स लगाना, लेबलिंग, उसके बाद जो अवेयरनेस वाली बात है, आपने कहा अवेयरनेस नहीं है लोगों को, वो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा है कि लोगों को बताना है अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड फूड हार्मफुल है. ईट राइट मूवमेंट है कंट्री में, आई डोंट नो व्हाट इज द लेवल ऑफ देयर रीच. मुझे लगता है वो वेबसाइट पे तो चलती है, पर वो क्या पब्लिक लेवल पे कैसे चलती है, पब्लिक लेवल पे मैसेज क्या है, उसमें हमें नहीं कोई मैसेज ऐसा मिला जिसमें वो ये रिस्क ऑफ अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस फूड या रिस्क ऑफ हाई शुगर हाई फैट बता रहे हो. वो मुझे लगता है ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है बताना. फिर उसके बाद चाहे अगर एडवर्टाइजमेंट नहीं बंद करनी तो कम से कम एडवर्टाइजमेंट में ये दो कि 30 ग्राम चीनी वाला पैकेट है चॉकलेट का, जब बिस्कुट है 24 ग्राम फैट है. जब बिस्कुट में अब कौन सोचता है कि नमक होगा. जितने बिस्कुट हमने इस रिपोर्ट में एनालाइज किए उनमें हमने पाया कि नमक 2 या 3 गुना है. WHO की रिकमेंड बिस्किट हम मीठा सोच के खाते हैं. तो ये चीजें जरूरी है ना लोगों को बतानी अगर आपको बदलाव लाना है. और रातों रात तो बदलने वाली नहीं दुनिया, कोई भी चीज नहीं बदलती ऐसे. अब इतने सालों से चल रही हैं, हम ये नहीं कह रहे कि ये बंद करो, फैक्ट्रियां बंद करो, नहीं होंगी बंद. वो कुछ लोग खाएंगे जिनको जरूरत है, बट धीरे धीरे अगर लोगों को पड़ गया तो धीरे धीरे बदलाव आ सकता है ना. और आप उस इंग्लैंड या अमेरिका के साथ ना जाके मिले ना, उनकी आधी डाइट अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड है, हमारी अभी 10-15% है, 15 से कम हो गई. अगर हम भी उसी की तरफ, ज्यादा समय नहीं लगेगा जिस स्पीड से हम बढ़ रहे हैं. हम जिस स्पीड से बढ़ रहे हैं कंजम्पशन में, ज्यादा समय नहीं लगेगा. अब ऑलरेडी हम 1 में से 4 एडल्ट पॉपुलेशन या मोटापा है या डायबिटीज है या प्री डायबिटीज है. अगर उस लेवल पे हम ऑलरेडी खड़े हैं 10-15% कंजम्पशन से, तो अगर बढ़ गई तो आप पता नहीं क्या होगा. इसलिए मैं इसको कहता हूँ ये टिकिंग टाइम बॉम्ब है, इसको कंट्रोल करें.
The government imposes tax on the food packaging industry, and then what happens? The food packaging industry or food industry, they pass it on to people. Then where are we heading? That's the question.
No way that we can afford rising epidemic of non-communicable diseases, which is happening right now. So the only thing which we can do is to start looking into the prevention more seriously, so that at the first instance we need to look into how new cases of diabetes can be prevented, new cases of obesity can be prevented, right. ट्रीटमेंट करने तक तो फिर गड़बड़ हो जाता है बहुत, जब तक ट्रीटमेंट का समय आता है. ट्रीटमेंट में ही ज़्यादा जोर है इस समय. इस समय जो मेन नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज को देखा जा रहा है वो ट्रीटमेंट पॉइंट से देखा जा रहा है कि आप टेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे, ब्लड शुगर, उसके बाद दवाई ठीक ले रहे हैं नहीं ले रहे। वो उससे पहला जो एंगल है कि यंगर जनरेशन से आप टेस्टिंग करके उसके बाद उनको डाइटरी एडवाइस दें, अच्छी जो नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन है उनकी जो पुरानी गाइडलाइन अब नई आने वाली है वो बड़ी अच्छी गाइडेंस दे रहे हैं इस मामले के कि जंक फूड इज ए रिस्क टू योर हेल्थ। तो कंट्री को क्या चाहिए, और आपकी नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन कह रही है कि जंक फूड इज ए रिस्क टू हेल्थ, तो वो सब लेजिस्लेशन में रेगुलेशन में वो इनकॉर्पोरेट हार्मोनाइज होना चाहिए। तो गवर्नमेंट शुड बी सीरियस अबाउट इट।
इनका प्रमोशन होना चाहिए, दैट्स मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट।
एग्जैक्टली। तो जो जब तक ये नहीं होता, अगर गवर्नमेंट डिले करती है इसको, जो कि कर रही है, हम उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, डॉक्यूमेंटेड है कि बिना बात के डिले हो रहा है, तो वो गवर्नमेंट को आज नहीं तो कल कभी ना कभी तो जवाब देना पड़ेगा उसका। आफ्टर ऑल डेमोक्रेसी है, कभी ना कभी तो जवाब देना ही पड़ेगा ना उसका। तो हम चाहते हैं कि गवर्नमेंट अच्छी तरह फटाफट काम करे इस बात का। और
आपकी तरफ से
अभी पॉलिटिकल हम ये कहेंगे अभी 24 में इलेक्शन आना है, तो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज should include in their manifestos that they will bring a law to ban advertisements of junk food. They will put a warning label. They will try and put a higher level of GST on the junk food. We already have higher GST on cola drinks, for example. Example is there. They call it sin tax.
But that's what I asked you. They will pass on to public.
No.
Those tax they will pass on to public. It happens.
नहीं, that's what reduces consumption ना। जो हायर प्राइस करने का है मतलब यही है कि हायर प्राइसेस होंगे तो कंजम्पशन थोड़ी।
5 रुपीस बॉटल।
हाँ, तो वो तो उनका चाल है ना, वो तो करेंगे। पर वो जिस लेवल पे भी है, अगर चाहे वो 40 रुपए वाली है चाहे 10, जो भी है, अगर प्राइसेस बढ़ते हैं, इट हैज बीन डेमोन्स्ट्रेटेड इन कंट्रीज, इवन इन केरला थोड़े साल पहले उन्होंने एक टैक्स इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, तो उसके बाद जीएसटी आया तो वो टैक्स बंद हो गया क्योंकि जीएसटी लग गया। तो वहाँ पे अभी एक स्टडी हुई है कि अभी तक वो कंजम्पशन पे इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है, तब टैक्स लगा था पर लोगों को फिर आदत पड़ गई कम कम ऑर्डर दें। उन्होंने सिर्फ कार्ड, जो लोग कार्ड पे खरीदते थे उसको स्टडी किया कि जो पहले कितना खरीदते थे जंक फूड, अब कितना खरीदते हैं, इस तरह। तो अभी भी उन्होंने देखा है कि जब टैक्स बढ़ा तो जंक फूड का जो भी 5-6% ही कम हुआ का, सो फर्क पड़ता है। तो इसलिए टैक्सेशन फॉर मी प्रायोरिटी वुड बी restriction and ban on advertising. Second would be front of pack labeling with a warning. Third would be taxes. And till this law is not made, advertisements should be mandated. They disclose the amount of sugar, salt and fat in the product. Just disclose the amount. Let people get educated कि मैं चीनी खा रहा हूँ या नहीं खा रहा हूँ. That will help people. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that we can notify you whenever we publish a report. Follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Send get updates to 9821045739 for news and views you are not told. Visit our website empirediaries.com for the latest news analysis. Stay informed, stay awake.